Good morning, afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host for the next 2 hours during your lunch rush, Ben Addison. I apologize for my absence last week, as I've come under the flu, which I'm sure all of you can really hear right now. But I'm back now and have plenty of things to go over this week. Like I got your top 25 matches in NCAA, got some local college football matchups. This week's NFL games, including last night's Thursday night game in Arizona with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals. And then a pair of science and tech articles and more to come. So make sure you stay tuned for the next 2 hours as we talk about it all. Next up, we have the London feat J. Cole and Travis Scott by Meek Mill on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha. And that last song was Some of It by Eric Church. Taking a quick peek at the weather right now. If you can't tell and you live under a rock or you just haven't looked outside for some reason today, it is raining outside. That does seem to be continuing for most of today, with chances around 30% pretty much all of today. So pretty much seems to be pretty continuous. It even says there's a flood advisory from now until further notice. So those of you living on the floodplains, go ahead and make sure that you are staying rather safe. But right now we have a temperature outside is about 39 degrees outside. It's supposed to get up to 45 today. We'll see whether or not it actually does that with all this rain. Then overnight tonight we have a low of about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But next up on MavRadio, we'll have Beer Never Broke My Heart by Luke Combs on MavRadio.fm. We'll also have plenty of top 25 matchups coming up for college football. We got some NFL games, a couple articles, plenty of stuff coming up for y'all. So make sure you stay tuned to MavRadio.fm. You just heard It Ain't Me by Kygo and Selena Gomez on MavRadio.fm. And for this week's top 25 matches in NCAA football college land, we only really have a pair of games. One that's going to be a very close game and one that I don't even really know how either of the teams are ranked, honestly. But to start this, we'll go ahead and start with the good game. Number 8, Georgia, going to number 6, Florida. This is, like I said, will be the very, very close game. I don't even really know how to say this because, like, Florida, they lost a game to LSU, the current number 1 team, and then Georgia was, like, number 2, looking to be number 1. I don't know. I think they were number 1 at one point. I don't remember exactly, but, like, then they lost a really random game against a really random team that made no real sense how they lost the game, and now they're number 8. So I don't know. Whoever wins this game will put themselves on the outside looking in for the playoffs. There's a lot of teams like Penn State that are sitting at like that number 5 spot right now. So I think this team, whoever wins this one, will kind of like slide in right behind them at the number 6 spot. So for Florida, I don't think they'll really see an uptick in their rank if they win this game. Unfortunately, maybe they do. Maybe the people who, I forget what they call themselves, but maybe they do. Maybe they do get put into 5th place over Penn State because of this win. But either way, I have a very small favor if I had to call anything here towards Florida at home. Just like I said, because they're at home. Their one loss looks a little less concerning as being against number 1 LSU. So I don't blame Florida for losing that game by any means. But as opposed to Georgia's loss, which is 110,000% on them because that was a game that they really shouldn't have lost in the first place. So then the other game, how are either of these teams even ranked? Number 15 SMU versus number 24 Memphis. These are 2 colleges that I know, but I question how either of them are ranked. And the only reason SMU is ranked is because they're undefeated, as compared to Memphis having 1 loss, which is the only reason I even favor SMU in this matchup. I haven't watched either of these teams play. I don't know who plays on either of these teams. I don't know how good they're actually looking. I just question how SMU is 15. And then a one-loss Memphis team who's literally played nobody this entire year is 24. college football land must be having a lot of teams taking a lot of L's, like big L's, because I don't like both of these teams being ranked doesn't make any sense to me. But nevertheless, like I said, I favor SMU in that match, so we'll see how that all goes down. But next up on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha, we will have Circles by Post Malone. Enjoy. And that song you just heard was Pop Out Feet Lil TJ by Polo G on KVNO HD2 Omaha. All right, taking a little peek at last night's game with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals. It was definitely a much closer game than I actually thought it was going to be, even though it is at Arizona. Arizona, I thought, was going to get a little bit more stampeded there. And for a while there, it did kind of look like they were going to, heading into the fourth quarter being down 28-14. Kind of looked like San Francisco was in position to really put it away, but then their offense kind of had 2 3-and-outs in a row, and Arizona got a touchdown and then I believe a field goal on top of that. I could be wrong. But then like a 2-point conversion to make it 28-25. But San Francisco manages to hold out their offense, gets a first down, and sub 2 minutes, and Arizona didn't have enough timeouts or any timeouts really to stop them from just kneeing it out for the game. So San Francisco picks up their 8th win for the season. It's pretty big. Jimmy Garoppolo managing to go for 28 for 37, pass for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So the San Francisco 49ers passing game looking very strong. Run game was nowhere even present that entire time. I was watching most of the game. Pretty much any time the halfback got the ball, he was instantly stuffed at the line. So I think if anything, that's pretty much the only thing San Francisco really has to worry about at this point, is making sure they establish their run game, because they got a really good tight end, got some good receivers, got a really good quarterback. I mean, I was watching Jimmy Garoppolo, and I was like, wait a second, is that Tom Brady? Like, he literally looked very similar to Tom Brady's passing style and everything he does. And you can really tell that it really looks like Tom Brady has finally been put into the West Coast system, but it's not Tom Brady, it's Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's on the 49ers, like Tom Brady always wanted to be. So, that could be very interesting. But nonetheless, the other non-Sunday game for the NFL, the Monday night game, will be the Cowboys at the Giants. I'm going to disclose by saying I am a Giants fan. I have supported them for a very, very long time, since about 2006, 7, somewhere around there. Either way, been a big fan of Giants for a while, pretty much since I started watching football. But they're probably still going to lose. They're at home, but they're facing the Cowboys, and they suck. They suck this year. I'm just going to say it. Even with Saquon Barkley in, our injured receiver core, again, seems to be hampering us. Our line is our line, and our defense can't keep up. So, I'm not confident. I'm pretty much heading into most games unless we're going at, or Miami's coming to us, or we're facing the Bengals or something. I'm not gonna really expect the Giants to pick up a W. So I definitely favor the Cowboys there, as much as I hate to say otherwise. But nevertheless, that's that. But next in line, we have When I Grow Up by NF on MavRadio.fm. That was We Were by Keith Urban on MavRadio.fm. Thank you for joining me, Ben Addison, during the first hour of your lunch rush. We still have a whole nother hour with plenty to talk about, so make sure you stay tuned. But quickly taking a look at this weekend's specifically weather. Today, right now, we're sitting at about a 39-degree Fahrenheit day. A little sprinkling rain. I'm trying to look outside. I don't really see any rain falling anymore, so I don't think we're actually raining anymore. But we pretty much keep the rain, the chances for that level of rain that we did have earlier throughout most of the day, if not all of today. We do also have a flood advisory from now until the further notice. So, So those of you in the floodplains, please stay safe. Please pay attention to what is being said by the different government officials and so on and so forth, and pay attention to the news just in case more flooding is on its way. But to be fair, this is the only time for rain this weekend. I'm not really seeing any until Monday night. So hopefully this weekend should stay nice and dry for us. And looking at that weather, tonight we'll have about a low of 30. Today we'll get up to about 45. Then on Saturday day, we're going to hit about a high of 48. Saturday night, going to go ahead and hit a low of 35. Then Sunday night is, or Sunday day, is the highest day with the highest high at 52 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you have anything to do outside, like got some last bit of yard work, got to rake up those leaves or something, Sunday is probably your best day for that. And then Sunday night, we go down to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's your weekend weather coming up. But next up on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha, we have No Guidance by Chris Brown. And that last song was I Don't Care by Ed Sheeran on KVNO HD2 Omaha. Alright, taking a look at this Sunday's games for the NFL. During the day, we got the Vikings going to the Chiefs. This one is going to be a hard game for the Chiefs as they will still not have Mahomes. He is still out on injury as of right now. So with that, I will go ahead and favor the Vikings. Plus, they're on a slight win streak right now, so I think the Vikings will continue with all that momentum, go into the Kansas City, knowing they don't have Mahomes, and just playing lights out. And I think the Vikings will come out with a big W there. And unfortunately, the Chiefs will lose their second game in a row without Mahomes, but that's also somewhat no surprise. Okay, then after that, we got the Browns versus the Broncos. They're traveling to Denver. This is a battle of two-win teams. There's not really a whole lot of interesting going on, so this is the other game that I was, hey, this is kind of a close game, I guess. But for this one, I would favor the Broncos at home, but I could easily see the, Browns just going into Denver and being like, "Hi, guys, what's up? You guys suck." And then just winning because I have Odell and Baker Mayfield and Jarvis Landry, and I could go on and on and on. But you get the point. So I think the Browns might come out on top, but I don't have any faith in the Browns, and honestly, I would like to see them win or lose anyway. So I'm going to say I favor the Broncos at home. Call it good. Then we have the Sunday night game. This is a really big, important game, and I mean huge game. It's Patriots at the Ravens. This is the possible first loss for the Patriots, and looking at their schedule, it's possibly their only game that they could lose. The rest of them are like, yeah, I don't think they're going to lose these games. Like, I'm just looking at the schedule, and I'm just like, I don't think there's anyone else that's really going to take a W off of the Patriots. So the Ravens have a really big chance. They're also coming off a road win at Seattle. They're on a 3-game win streak. And even with all of that, even with me knowing that the Ravens are on a hot streak, their 2 losses don't mean as much now as they did, maybe a couple weeks ago. And it is at the Ravens. When it comes to putting money on this game, if I were to be told that I had to put money on one of these two teams, my heart tells me that I have to go with the Ravens because they're going to do it. They're going to pull off the upset. They're just going to be able to finally give the Patriots the one loss that they need during the season. The Patriots will readjust after that, and then they'll probably just win the Super Bowl anyway. So, who knows? But regardless, the smart bet is to put your money on the Patriots. I mean, betting against the Patriots, betting against Tom Brady, betting against Bill Belichick is generally not a smart idea. These guys have been around for a very long time. They know what they're doing. They have a very solid team this year. I don't know. This will be probably the game to tell whether or not this year's Patriots roster really does have a weakness or not. Because as of right now, I mean, they're undefeated, but so is San Francisco. So maybe it's just a fact of they haven't faced the right team with the right matchup at the right place. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time that they lose. So Who knows? But on deck, we have It's You by Ali Gotti? Is how I'm going to say that's pronounced. Gotti? I apologize if I said that wrong. Someone's really offended now. But nevertheless, it's on MavRadio.fm. And you just heard Stuck in a Dream by Little Mozzie, something or other, on MavRadio.fm. Plenty of local NCAA football matches going on this week. We'll start off, I say plenty, but one of the teams is on a bye. That team being the number 19 Iowa Hawkeyes are now on a bye this week. You get another one of those. Obviously, probably their last one. It seems that is like everyone is doing that right now. A lot of teams seem to be on a bye. That's why we really only had 2 ranked matches this week. But nevertheless, then we have Nebraska. They're going to Purdue. Nebraska QB is a big old question mark. We don't know what Nebraska's thinking. Nebraska's doing the usual Nebraska thing where they're keeping the injuries until the last minute. So, the word from Scott Frost is whoever will play will be ready to play and will play. Adrian Martinez says he's ready. Who knows? I don't know. If Nebraska has Adrian Martinez, I would put the favor on them. Without Adrian Martinez, I had to put the favor on Purdue. There hasn't been any evidence outside of the fact when Adrian Martinez is in that Nebraska can actually produce wins, produce offense, and then in turn, obviously, produce defense. Because if your offense isn't staying out on the field, your defense isn't going to really be able to stop the offense for very long. So, I haven't seen any real signs of offense while Adrian Martinez has been out. So it's pretty safe, in my opinion, to say that without Adrian Martinez, that would definitely still be a very difficult game. Even though Purdue only has 2 wins, it's still around where Nebraska's looking. It's at Purdue. Nebraska on the road has always historically been pretty bad, so very challenging game there for Nebraska. Doesn't get any easy. Actually gets infinitely harder for Iowa State as they travel to number 10 Oklahoma after just going against Oklahoma State and losing that game. So they've now lost their rank. This is an easy game to call. Do I even have to say it? I feel like I just don't even have to say it at this point that I favor Oklahoma. Is that even a call to make? Is there betting odds being put on this game? And if so, whoever's voting or betting for Iowa State better be betting $10 or maybe $100 because then you get a nice payout. But still, it's not going to happen. I would even tell you that's still a not good bet regardless. So easy Oklahoma there. Overall, again, Iowa taking a bye week, and then Nebraska heading to Purdue, with a big old question mark in that QB category. But nevertheless, excuse me, next up we have Sunflower feat. Post Malone by Swa Lee on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha. And before that promo was Wish Wish by DJ Khaled on KVNO 90.7. I'm your host during the lunch rush hour/2 hours, I guess is what I do. Ben Addison, and thanks for joining me during the past hour and a half so far. We still got another 30 minutes left, and I still got plenty to talk about, so stay tuned during all of it. And the first thing I want to talk about for all of that is Twitter is now going to go ahead and stop accepting political ads. Now, this isn't just your normal pro-Trump, by a Trump organization or by, a Clinton organization or whoever the candidate is. It's not just that. This is talking about pretty much all political ads. There's been a lot of problems if you've been following the news and a lot of political news. A lot of problems with deep fakes. A lot of these sites are creating fake advertisements that look factual, look real, and this is, of course, because of social media like Twitter, like Facebook. I'm sure some of you have seen it where it's a news article that looks pretty real, but if you actually take 2 minutes to look at it and actually process what it's saying, who's written by it, and the facts behind it and all that, you'll usually see that it's pretty fake. Also, micro-targeting is a big problem because you know how that all works. All data gets sold. They look at who we are, they look where we live, and then they target the advertisements with all of that data. So Twitter has basically come out. The Twitter CEO has basically come out. I think his name is Jack Dorsey, the CEO for Twitter, kind of came out and tweeted a couple things about it, talking about how they were going to stop doing that. And this is on direct contrast to Facebook, which has kind of been a little bit more open as far as political ads and deepfakes and all this goes, kind of taking the approach of, let people put out what they want to put out and let the people decipher what's real and what's not. Which I, personally, whether or not I believe that's a good idea or not is regardless here or there. But I do think there is some steps that should be taken by these social media sites. Like deepfakes is definitely a big problem, including the fact that they really do look real, and it's easy for the average day person to be fooled by them. So definitely something that needs to be done there. Glad to see Twitter taking some of those steps already. But next up on MavRadio.fm, we have High Hopes by Panic at the Disco on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha. And that last song was Higher Love by Kygo on MavRadio.fm. And this weekend we got a couple of, I should say a few games going on with the UNO. First off, we got UNO's volleyball team going up against South Dakota, just South Dakota, here, and it'll be at 5:30 today, as well as today we have hockey going to Alaska Anchorage, and that game will be going on at 10 p.m. tonight. The reason why it's going on so late is because it's not as late over in Alaska. So that's why they're going on so late. So most of you probably won't really be able to catch that game unless you plan to stay up and try to catch that otherwise. But then we have a game, the only real big game going on this weekend is the men's soccer team facing number 24 Oral Roberts here at home. That'll be a big game for the men's soccer team as they faced the obvious 24 ranked Oral Roberts team and look to try picking up a big W there. But nevertheless, next up on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha, we have Bodak Yellow? I don't know. I'm saying that wrong. I know I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. But it's Bodak Yellow by Cardi B on MavRadio.fm. This is KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha, and you just heard 1,000 Bad Times by Post Malone. Well, we got a bit of an interesting article I read yesterday. It was a CBS This Morning exclusive article about this 14-year-old who is crowned America's top young scientist. And you'll never really guess what this person created because I read it and I was like, what? But apparently, this 14-year-old created a design that actually somewhat worked, at least on some levels, with a nanoparticle liquid bandage invention. Just saying that makes me feel like I'm like super unintelligent compared to these kids. Like I'm just like, how? What? A 14-year-old created this? How? Like reading this and then just reading not even her project, the person who won, but also the projects of all these other young scientists. Like, holy crap, what they did and what they created is amazing. Like, someone apparently created a more efficient and safer transport service than Elon Musk's Hyperloop. We're talking about Elon Musk here, that guy that we all accredit with being one of the smartest dudes out there right now. And there's a teenager out there creating a more efficient Hyperloop system than his. And her reasoning is because of air pollution, which is a good reason above all else. Like, Obviously, these kids are concerned about global warming. If anyone, millennial or younger, isn't the most concerned about that, then, there's obviously a problem. So, nevertheless, that's more opinion than anything. So, but next up, I will digress on that. But next up, we have Addicto by Annual AA or AA. I'm not sure how I want you to say that. AA or AA on MavRadio.fm. You are listening to MavRadio.fm, and that was Without Me by Hazley. All right, we got a winter is literally right around the corner, as I'm sure most of you can tell by how cold it is outside and the fact that it's raining outside. So a good reminder for all of you, a nice little article on 3newsnow.com talks about winterizing your home to avoid damaging and repair bills. It's actually by alum Matt Harvey. So go ahead and check out that article and go ahead and help support fellow alums. But in the article, they go on talking a little bit about, hey, winter's coming up. Here's some tips to avoid some common problems around your house. Things like properly drain and winterizing lawn irrigation systems, including, all of that fun stuff. Remove house exterior faucets from your house, stuff like that, to make sure nothing gets frozen up and all that, and a whole bunch of other fun tips and tricks. Well, not really tricks, but tips for winterizing your home so that nothing goes awry when we have all that snow and blizzard probably coming up here in a couple weeks. Who knows when that does start hitting, but when it does, you want to be ready. But nevertheless, looking at this weekend's weather and upcoming up all the way in through to Monday, right now we're sitting at a nice 41. I say nice, but I mean, I use that very loosely. It's nice for what it could be, I guess, at this point. But nevertheless, we're also under a flood advisory right now until further notice, so keep aware of that. Tonight, we're going to go ahead and hit a low of 30, today's high being 45. Then Saturday's high during the day will be 48 with a low of 35 during the night. Then you got a high of 52 on Sunday with a low of 36 Sunday night. Then a high of 49 on Monday with a low of 30 on Monday night with a slight chance of rain then as well. So again, go ahead and go check out that article on 3newsnow.com. It's under local news called The Winterizing Your Home to Avoid Damage and Repair. It's by Matt Harvey. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already or you don't know exactly what you should do for winter and to prepare. But thank you for joining me, Ben Addison, this Friday during your lunch rush. I hope you've enjoyed these past 2 hours because I have definitely enjoyed hosting. And I'm going to go ahead and leave you with Behind Bars by Drake on KVNO 90.7 HD2 Omaha.